Hi, everybody. This is called Dorvil coming to you again, and I wanted today to really talk about. Well, I got my haircut today, and if anybody's ever been to a black barber shop, you know when you get your haircut, credit cards are not accepted. They only take cash, and there's actually a sign at a lot of barber shops that says, "In God we trust. Everyone else pay cash." And really, what they're trying to say there, and I apologize, my phone rang. Byron Sanders is calling me. He's in Austin, so shout out to Byron. But really what they're trying to say is that in the God Almighty who created the universe, who did all these great things, and don't get mad at me, you're an atheist. I'm just making a point. He in him I can trust, but humans I can't trust, and so they're going to need to pay cash. Credit cards and whatnot won't do. And kind of when thinking about that situation really reminded me about a study I did on trust. And when I say a study, I read a book called the Speed of Trust, and I think it was a great book, and I recommend it to everybody out there. But in the book, it talked about two major components of trust, and under those two components, there were two categories. And those two major, and while I'm looking away, I do better if I have notes, so that's why I was looking away. But those two major components are character and competence. And so, in order to trust somebody, you actually have to show, they need to show you that they have good character and they actually have the competence to do that. And under character, there were two major categories. The first was integrity. And what he meant by integrity was was kind of if you know what an integer is, it has the same root as the word integrity, and what that is wholeness, completeness. And so who you are and what you do matches what you say, and kind of you don't get something that's different. So when we think about integrity, oftentimes we just think about being honest, but it's more than that. It's actually walking the talk and really being who you say you are going to be. And so that's one of the first major components of trust is you have to find somebody who has integrity. The second component under this character piece is motivation, motives, or motivation or intent. Why are you doing what you're doing? If you find somebody who has bad motives, who the reason why they're trying to get you to do something you don't feel is proper or you don't feel is good, you're less likely to listen to that person. So if you're trying to develop trust, you got to make sure that you have clear and pure motives for what you're doing. Because if you don't, it'll show. I heard somebody told me a long time ago, if you do things for the money, people can smell it, and I think I found that to be true. Here at Group Excellence, we try to strive to do everything we do to be student focused and really do it for the kids. And any time that we get away with that, you can kind of feel it, and you kind of sense it in the culture. And people really get mad because we want the motives of what we do here to be about the kids. And I think we've done a great job of keeping that in, although we've maintained our status as a for-profit business. And so that kind of rounds out the character piece. The second piece is the competence. You actually have to know what you're talking about. And for that, there's two categories. The first category is capabilities. Do you actually have the raw capabilities, the talent to do something? Sorry, the phone rang again. But for example, if I want to play basketball, do I have the tools in order to play? Am I tall enough? Am I fast enough? Am I strong enough? If I want to be in any sport, do I have those tools? Moreover, if I want to be CEO of Bank of America or Chase, do I have the background and the history? Do I physically have the raw capabilities to get the job done? The second piece under competence is capabilities. Sorry, not capabilities, is results. And that means, do you actually produce the results? Oftentimes people talk about, hey, I tried really hard, but did you actually get the sales? Did you actually get the job done? Far too many people are worried only about the effort, but forget about the execution. It's very important that you become successful and that you actually have, that you actually hit your goal. I use the example of sales. If I make 100 calls and I only get 10 people to answer, well, they're only going to pay me on those 10 people if I'm in a sales job. And that same way, if I make 100 calls and nobody answers, well, I don't get paid. The successful people and unsuccessful people ultimately are results matter, and that's how you separate kind of one from the other. So it's really important that you focus on having results, as well as the other three things. And I believe you reap what you sow. So if you do things long enough, you're going to be able to get, if you do things the right way long enough, you're going to reap those results. But sometimes it takes a little longer. And if you don't have those results, you can't be mad if people don't trust you, because that's a major component of trust. You have to have results. So the analogy that they use for this is an analogy of a tree, with integrity being kind of at the roots, and the stem is your motives. Then the branches are your capability, and the fruit is the results. And hopefully, if I figure out how to do it correctly, I put a picture of that here right now. See, okay, I figured it out, so that's good, and hopefully that'll help you along the way. One final thing I'll say about trust is you can't talk your way out of something you behaved yourself into. So what I mean by that is if you're trying to tell people, hey, I want to change and I want to be more trustworthy, you can't just say it. You actually have to do something. And although you can't talk your way out of something you behaved your way into, you can behave your way out of something that you behaved your way into. And so if you start adding these components of trust to your life, if you be focused on your intent, your capabilities, and getting great results, you'll see that people will trust you more. All right. One final note on trust. I don't want to give the impression that you can have one of the basically that you can do one of the four things and that's how you have trust. It's really all of them together that causes trust. Because if you have integrity, but if you don't have integrity, but you have all three of the rest, people aren't going to trust you because they can't trust what you say. If you don't have good motives, people aren't going to trust you because they can't trust what you're going to do. If you have all the three but you don't have capabilities, people are going to believe that you just got lucky, and they're not going to think that you're someone who's trustworthy or who they can believe in. And if you don't have results, although people really like you as a person, they're not going to be able to trust you because you can't get the job done. So it's really important to have all four of those components. Don't just work on one. Make sure you're working on all four in order to have trust. All right, just wanted to add that here at the end.